So for day one, we'll be covering just the basics. I'm just going to introduce you to Microsoft Excel, but this is advanced Excel, so you don't expect me to start from scratch in explaining what rows and columns are and how to do basic maths. But straight away, I'll start with cell formatting, and that is a condition of cell formatting, how you can format cells based on a condition so that you are able to visualize data. I'll also be covering how to format duplicate values, and how to format based on rules. And also, I'm going to introduce you to if functions and nested if functions. If time allows, but I may skip this for another day. That's creating Gantt chart, because this is the most wanted feature in getting Microsoft Excel, and it really needs a day of its own for you to understand. I'll also go through extracting unique values and also extracting values of a table based on conditions using the filters, and how you can export extracted values to other sheets. For day two, you'll have a chance to develop data collection tools, data collection forms using Microsoft Excel. How you can use named ranges, data validation, duplicate removals, and also advanced functions. We look at concatenate function, that's the for string. Text split. We'll also look at text join. Those are string functions. And when it comes to numbers, we look at sum if, count if, VLOOKUP, index and match, and also the new one, which is X lookup. That's for day two. Day three, it's supposed to be data analysis using Microsoft Excel. That's the same way you can analyze data using SPSS or Stata or R. You can make use of Microsoft Excel advanced functionality to do measures of central tendency, that is mean, median, and mode. Also, we can test hypotheses, and we shall look at independent sample t-test, that's one sample t-test, two sample t-test, and two unrelated sample t-test, that's the paired sample t-test. We'll also look at how we can compute ANOVA, and also regression analysis, simple and multiple regression analysis using Microsoft Excel. So those functionalities are available for you to use in Microsoft Excel. I'm assuming you have the latest version of Microsoft Excel from 2019 onwards. Then day four, we look at how you can, instead of using many functions to do statistical calculations, we'll use pivot tables to create filters and to do summary statistics, as well as to produce pivot charts. Also, how we can leverage of these pivot charts to join them and create our dashboards, and use slicers to slice through the data and look at data in different perspectives. The same way this can be achieved in Power BI or Tableau. So last day, we look at advanced functionalities Microsoft Excel. That is pertaining to data protection, how we can protect some sheets so that no one can change them, or how we can protect some columns or some ranges of cells so that no one can type on them. This is very important, especially if you are you have a data and you only want a portion for people to fill in, but don't change the information that's already existing. So you can protect those information from being changed by the users whom you pass this particular Excel to. We'll also look at how we can link sheets, just like a bookmark, so that people can navigate from one sheet to the other, or different various sections of your reports, especially if you have analysis involving several sheets. So you can have home page whereby you introduce all the topics or subtopics, and people can just click on in subtopic and goes to the different sheets just to see the information. It's also very important. And also, I'll give you a bonus on a simple introduction to Power BI. That is Power Query. Power Query is part of the Power BI, but it's available freely for you in Microsoft Excel. How you can make use of this Power Query to transform, clean up your data, and this automate all those processes, and how you can leverage this functionality to import data from online sources, from databases, and even from applications for applications like uh, mobile data collection platforms like Kobo, Toolbox, Honor, ODK Central, Survey CTO, or Comcare. You can make use of this Power Query to just straight away fetch those data into Excel and do some transformations and cleaning up and avail that data for dashboards and reports. Also, we look at close it up with printing, how you can print your data or how you can export your data in terms of PDF and Word documents from Microsoft Excel. Any question up to there? Before we start on our day one. Okay. Silence means no question. So straight away I'll get into hands-on experience. Hands-on day one, that's self-formatting. Okay. I'll be going very slowly so that you'll be able to understand and hear me very well. This video is being recorded, so at your free time, you can as well just listen to it later on. It will be available for you. At the end of this, I think we'll also be passing some forms so that you'll be able to, will be able to gather your feedback, especially on the areas that you want us to tackle, and also the knowledge that you are coming with, and the knowledge that you like to get out of this particular course, and that will really help us to inform how what content to deliver to you. So straight away, let's get into day one. That's self-formatting. Okay. Yeah, we'll pass all this to you. Okay. Today we are just giving you the tip of what to expect. Just to it's called appetizer. Yeah. All of these materials, we have a lot of materials that will pass to you. Okay. Yes. After we have seen how serious you are with this particular course. Okay. Let me now turn into Microsoft Excel. The beauty is that I'm not going to be using very big data. I just want to be using a very lean data with few rows so that you understand the concept. Is there a question? Okay, thank you. Someone was on unmute. I've said I really want to deliver this so that you get the concept. So I'm not really going to focus on a specific data because I know many of you come from different background. So I'm not going to rely on a very big data. I'm just going to rely on a very lean data with a few rows and a few columns so that at least you understand what's happening behind the scenes. Even when you're given very big data, then only need to master the formula and everything works magically. So I'm going to start with cell formatting. Just to push, I just want to push. So I'm going to start with cell formatting. So I'm going to introduce a very simple data. Please just mute, please. Just mute, kindly. I'm going to use a very simple data. Okay. Just with these few columns, and I'm going to have 10 observations. Okay. I'm only going to have 10 observations. Huh? I already believe that you have basic Excel literacy. You know what a column is, what a row is, and where to go if you want to use Excel in terms of these menus, what these menus are used for. For my case, I'm using Excel 20. This, I think, is the latest. Yeah. Because since 2019, Excel is no longer called Excel what. Microsoft update on a monthly basis. So this is Excel 2024, the one I'm using. So you just need to update your Excel so that you can leverage some of these functionalities. So we have student ID. Each student has a unique ID. Okay. So if my school starts with that, so the first student can be 001. I can drag this to 11 to get the last student, which is 010. So these are the students' ID. Okay. And then please just mute. Please just mute, please. So that you don't interfere with the class. Okay. Unless you have a question, because that's going to interfere with the class and also going to consume a lot of our time, which we need to be very productive. So then that is terms of male and female. Okay, I can also put it in a short form if you really like. There are some techniques which are not able to cover in this syllabus, but you really be amazed how Excel can do things. Like if I want to get a random number between a random number of male and female, what I need to do is just put equal sign and say random. Okay, random between 0 and 1. And then go down here, just double click on it, or you can drag it. Because you are going to have a very big data which rolls into thousands of records. There's no need to waste your time dragging, taking this and right clicking, at the same time dragging with your mouse. So what you can do, when down here you see this plus sign, what you need to do is double tap it or double click it. And that will go up to the last data point. And this has generated a random number between 0 and 1. All these are random. What you need to note, if I start to enter marks here, for example, this person has 45, this will auto calculate. So if you want this to be constant, what you need to do, just highlight that this particular column, copy it, okay, Control C it, and then go to the first one, then right click, and then now select the second option, which is the values that you want to paste. Okay, that's the value that you want to paste. So even if I enter here 50 now, that doesn't change. So once we have zeros and ones, now what you can do under this column, there's a very, very important feature that you can make use of in Microsoft Excel, which is called find and replace. So you can Control F, which will pop up find and replace. You have always been using this. So I can find 0 and replace it, go to replace it with male, and that will replace it. Okay, and then I can also find 1, and that will replace it with female. So there are other options here which you can match case or you can match entire cells. So sometimes it works for you to match the entire cell instead of just that particular string that you are finding. Then you say replace all. Yeah, instead of replace. Replace is replacing one by one. It goes to highlight the first one, the replace, highlight the next one, replace. But if you want to replace all of that particular column, then what you need to do is replace all. So in that way, I've generated a random number of gender, as you can see. So the same applies to marks. Marks also I can generate. Okay, I can generate. So you have to specify the starting point. I can generate between, let's say a mark start from 10 to 90. 98. Let's say the last person to get the marks, let's say, is 94. Let me say 94. Okay, that will generate that random number, and that up to the last one. Then copy and control and copy and paste the values. That will do. Then I go to the next one. It's also between 10 and 94. So this is just helpful for me to generate this this sample data set for us to use. So today is all about cell formatting. Okay, today is all about cell formatting. So we'll start with the basic one. For example, if you really want to pay particular attention to those who are female, what you can do, the basic way to do it, if you have a very simple data set, you want to just show someone what the females in the data set. What you can do, just go here and right click, and you can give it a different color. I can pair it like that. That's what we call formatting. Okay, as simple as that. So this is very practical, especially if you have a very simple data set like the one I have here. But I know many of you will be dealing with the big data that comes from surveys, or data that comes from other databases and records. I really want to display observations or rows of particular interest. Yeah, sometimes you only want to format a particular cell. Sometimes you want to format the entire row, just to say, highlight for someone that this is the female, or maybe you want to highlight those who have passed and those who have failed. That way, so that at least you can visualize that data. You can have some info. You can turn that data into information, because if it is in form of a table like this, then it is difficult to actually extract information from it. So by formatting this, coloring different parts of the data set, it enables you to display, to turn that data into information. so that at least someone can get at a glance extract particular information from it and maybe use it for decision making purposes. So that's basically what formatting is. Yeah, before you come to what we call charts to turn that data into information. You can use the basic formatting, which is called cell formatting, to do that. So there are a number of approaches you can use to do automatic formatting. When the data is very small here, like this one, you can just make use of manual looking at it with your naked eye, and then do what? Right click and color it with the color that you want. But if it runs thousands and millions of records, then it becomes quite cumbersome to check it by your naked eye, highlight it, go like that, go like that. You'll be very exhausted at the end of the day, and that's not what you need to be hired for as a data analyst or someone who want to turn this data into information. So I'm going to be giving a very automatic process of highlighting rows of particular interest automatically. Okay, and this applies to small and large data. Let me just remove my formatting. So for example, if I want to highlight the females, all I have to do is just highlight the particular column of interest and then go to, let me just pin that. Then you go to cell formatting, and we can have the basic cell formatting, the formatting styles that we normally have. Okay, these are just basics, but we want to highlight based on a particular data set. Then we just need to go to condition formatting. For conditional formatting has different rules that you can apply. The basic one, which you can make use of, which is available to start you very fast, there is highlight cell rules. You can highlight which are greater than something, which are less than something, which are between something, equal to something, or text that contain. There is also text. All you see above here for the numbers, this is text that contains something. So I can say text that contains something. This, that contains female. You can say female, and you can select the color that you want. You can fill. I can red fill, green fill. You can custom format to select your specific color that you want. Okay, and go to fill here. Then I can select this color for female, or I can select this color for female. That one for female. Then say okay. So that will automatically highlight for you that, and you can see the preview of that. So if you like it, you can just say okay, and that will highlight for you all the female that particular column. So that's as simple as that. This feature normally exists, and you can make use of it. What about numbers? You can also format numbers. Just highlight the numbers, the column that contain the numbers, and go to conditional formatting here, and then highlight cells rules that are greater than 50. Let's say I want to highlight greater than 50. No, I want to highlight okay, those who are above the pass mark. Okay, so I can say for cells that are greater than, I can say 50. Okay, which color do I want to give it? I want to give it green. Okay, and then I say okay. That will highlight for me that. Okay. So what you can, what we have noticed is that even if you are highlighting, it doesn't consider the header as a data point. It doesn't consider the header as a header. Rather, it considers it as a data point. So even if we have text here, it will be highlighted as green. Okay, any text is considered to be greater than that particular number. So in order for us to highlight correctly without highlighting the header, what you need to do is only highlight the data point. So I can reverse and do highlight only the data point. So if you want to highlight the data point, shift control, then down arrow, it will highlight the up to the last point. But if you like, yeah, if you are still not advanced in the Excel, just click the first row, and then if you see this sign of plus, sign of red cross, then just drag it up to the last point of the data. But I quite take this as a cumbersome process, especially if you're dealing with very large data. You'll have to use your fingers until you go up to the 50,000 part of the record, and that is quite time consuming. So what you can just do is go to the first cell here. If I want to highlight, press shift, at the same time hold on control, while pressing control and shift at the same time, use the down arrow on your keyboard, press on it, and then it will highlight everything that contains the data on that particular column. Then go to now cell highlight, then you can see those who are greater than 50. You can write 50 there, and then you specify how you want to format it. A green field with the green text, or you can custom format it like previously we did to gender. Then say okay, that will only highlight that. Okay, so this process, even you can as well do it for a row or for a column that doesn't contain data, but you expect to be populated later with the data. Like now we can say languages. Okay, so for languages, you can go up to highlight up to the where we are, and then you can highlight those who failed in languages. Go to here, self-formatting, conditional self-formatting, formatting based on rules. Okay, those who failed is less than 50. Then you say 50. Okay, and then we give it, want to custom format it. Okay, I want to give it red, but light one, like that. Let me give it that. Okay, that's a pink kind of. Don't know which color is it. Then press OK. Yes, that will highlight those who are less than 50. So you can see everything is highlighted, even those who are missing exams. But if now I start to record here 45, that is still going to be highlighted. 60, that's going to be removed. 78, removed. 34, highlighted. 30, highlighted. 67, remove. Okay. 15, 48. What about 50? It's more than 50. Yeah, and we also have 72 just left. So that's the how to do some self formatting. So I want you to introduce it to how can we format the entire row for the record, because not only cells that I want to pay particular attention to, but I want to pay particular attention to this particular student. So I want to actually format the entire row, but entire row based on maybe on the total marks, okay, or on the mean score, maybe those who have a mean score of less than 50. Okay, so first of all, let me remove this formatting first. Let's remove this formatting. I think condition of formatting. Yes, you just clear them. We'll clear everything. Okay. The mean score is going to be, you can make use of the functions. which I think I prefer for another day. So, but let me just use the basic one. The mean is just add these 3 and then divide by 3. So always you have to start with equal sign, and then you say do the addition first is when you divide by 3. So you have to put this in bracket. Okay, and then now roll this down. Okay, yes, and then you can now reduce the number, even the number of decimal places. If you like, use this to reduce the number of decimal places to 1. Okay, that will give you that. So I want to record those who have scored below 50. Okay, because 50 is the pass mark. So what you can do on this record, highlight the students, starting from the records that contain the data set. As I have told you before, don't highlight the header. Okay, so a record starts from row 2. So you can highlight row 2 and then control and highlight up to down. That will highlight the whole data set for you. So now you go here, condition formatting. Okay, now I'm going to introduce a rule. Okay, I'm going to introduce a rule. So I'm going to say new rule. Okay, then a format all cells based on their values. You can do that. Format only cells that format only cells that contain something. We have done this last 2 with other methods above. So this also an alternative way to do it. Format only top or bottom ranks. You can also do that. Yeah. Format only values that are above or below average. You can also do that, above or below average. And in fact, this is what we wanted, but we want to do it in a different way. But first of all, we are going to try with that first one. We can also format only unique or duplicate values, which I'm going to go into this later on. We can use also a formula to determine which cells to format. Let's start with format only values that contains that are above or below average. So you have to specify the average. Okay, format values that are above average or below average. So in this case, I'm going to format that are below average. Okay, the average of the selected range. So for this one, is the average of the selected range. Okay, so you have to select the range so that you can format this, and you select the formatting that you want. For this, I didn't select I didn't select the range that I want. So for all this, it sums up all this and get the average of all these values, and then it formats the one that are below the average, which is not what we wanted actually. So if you were to use that formula, then we could have just highlighted the mean score column, okay, which we have done before with other techniques, with other alternatives, and go to new rules, and then you can format above average, below average, and then format. So automatically we calculate the average for that particular range of cells, okay, and it will format the one that's below the average. Okay, the one that's below the average. So as you can see, the ones that are below the average are the ones that are formatted. Let's now look at the average. The average is 51.9. So this considers the average of these ranges, not the pass mark that we are talking about, which is 50. No, this considers average based on the data set that we have, based on how these students were scoring. Yeah, so you can consider students amongst themselves, the average amongst themselves, not the average of pass as specified rubric that you are going to use, like a pass mark like 50. So this is average of data sets that we already have, which is 50.9. So suppose I have a 50 or a 50.1. If I have change a data set here to be a 50.1, don't know how I can change a data set here to be a 50.1. Then that data set is also going to be highlighted as below the average, because the average is 50.1, as you can see here. Okay, so it is used to highlight based on the data set itself. When the data set is run, then the average is found, then it can highlight for you the one that is below that particular value. So that's also a technique that you can be used to highlight certain cells. Yeah, pay particular attention to certain cells within the table. That's what we expected. What we expected is to highlight the whole of this particular row. But that is just one technique that is different from the first technique that we did here, which was greater than 50 or less than 50. It's different from this. Here you specify explicitly. The other one, it calculates among the data sets and highlight for you. But here we specified explicitly that highlight less than this, because that's the standard metric that we are using for that, which we have learned. So I just want to highlight the one that are below the pass mark, which is 50. So I have to highlight the whole of this data set here. That's the first step, is to highlight the data set. Then the next step is go to condition formatting. That's on home tab, and go to new rule. On the new rule, I'm going to select this one, use a formula to determine which cells to format, and then go here, format values where this formula is true. Where this formula is true is the one that is going to be formatted. Now we are going to write the formula. Always when you're writing the formula, we start with the equal sign, okay? We start with the equal sign. So we say this cell, okay? We start with the first cell that you highlighted. That's A2, okay? The first cell that we highlighted is A2, okay? Is equal to in fact, now it is not A2, but actually the cell that we are putting the formula is F2. Okay? It's now F2. F2 is greater than, no, it's less than 50. Okay? But for this formula to work, we are going to drag it down. When we drag it down, we don't expect we don't expect column to change. Only what we expect is the row to change. So for column, we are going to stagnate the column. To stagnate the column, or to freeze the column, sorry. To stagnate or freeze the column, we are going to add prepend the $sign before F. Okay, and then we are going to choose the right formatting to use. So we are going to highlight that, can even use that color, and we say okay, and then we say okay. So those are the people who obtain less than the pass mark of 50. Okay, that's how it is highlighted, the whole of those rows. As smart as that. Any question at this point? Okay, good. Let me go to the next one, which is highlighting duplicates. This is very, very important, especially if you are analyzing data. As you know, duplicates normally exist in a lot of data sets, and it is always unwanted.
I have a question.
Yes.
You started by using A2 and you went to F2. Why did you change that, kindly? Why?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, good. Let me undo this. Okay. Yeah, still highlighting this from the first row that contain the data set, I'm excluding the header. Always remember to exclude the header. Okay, after the last point that contains the data set. Then you go to conditional formatting here, and then you go to the new rule, and then we are going to use a formula to determine which cells to format. A formula is what we are going to use. Okay, after checking on it, it will give you this edit the rule description here. So this is format values where this formula is true. The formula that we are writing down here is true. So this formula is true. So for this formula to be true, we are going to use this column. It is this column that we are using. That's why I'm using the F column and not the A column. Okay, it is the formula in the F column that is supposed to be true, so that we format every row that satisfies that. Okay, so the formula here that I'm writing, always a formula has to start with equal sign. That one you know from the basic Excel. And then we say F2. F2, okay, is greater than, no, is less than 50. 50 is the pass mark. Okay, the reason why we are now attaching the prepending the dollar sign before F is that we want to drag this formula down. When we drag this formula down, we expect F to be constant, but the rows, which is here in this case, we are putting in this formula at row 2 first. Okay, the rows will keep on changing to row 3, row 4, like that onwards. Okay, if I leave it this way, only the first one I think is going to be highlighted if it satisfies this condition. The rest I don't think it's going to be executed. So for us to have the whole of all the rows to be executed, to be highlighted or formatted, then we have to prepare the dollar sign on the column that we want to apply the rule. Okay, and then you select the formatting style that you want. And you can select the style that you want and then say okay. And then you can also say okay. I hope now you get it well. Having understood that well, let's go to highlighting the duplicate. Okay, let's now go to highlighting the duplicate values. Okay, thank you. For the duplicate, I want to add another record here. Let's call it K004. Okay. So always know that a blank cell, if there's a blank cell, it will always be formatted. Okay, it will always be meeting the criteria, so it will always be formatted, especially if you are formatting the numbers. Okay, if you are formatting the numbers and you have a blank cell, like here now I've introduced K004. Let me add this to be female. Let me add this, the marks to be 35, 67. I think the formula, I also need the formula to be running here. Okay. 56. Yes, automatically that will be formatted for me. It can add also K008. This female. 56. 34. 20. This is 36, so this is highlighted. Okay, so this, after doing that, what you can do, if you really have to type data into Excel and you already know the number of records that you want to type in, so as you type in those records, you want to always check if a condition is satisfied. And I like for you, maybe if you are doing around empty. So this is an example of a technique that you can use to highlight a rule. So whenever you are typing, automatically Excel will check for you whether what you are highlighting is correct or not. that's one way you can leverage this particular feature. So, but what I want to take you next is about the duplicates. I want us to highlight the duplicates. So I just want to remove this formatting. Or still, I just want to leave this formatting and I want to see the duplicates. But I know I'm going to override this color. But on the duplicates, instead of filling in, I want to write with color, let's say with color yellow. Okay, font instead of filling. So what I want to do, highlight the whole of the data set up to the last one. Okay, go to. So what you are noticing here, the rule is only applied to a particular column, a single column. In our case, it was applied on the mean score. But the highlighting or the cell formatting is done across the row instead of just the column that contains the formula. That's what you need to know. Okay, so that you don't get confused. The rule is only applied to a single column of interest, of which here we specify as the mean score column. Okay, but the highlighting is done across the row. We specify, that's why we highlight the whole of the row. If we could have just highlighted the only as maybe we could just highlight only the science score, then only the formatting would be done on the science score. Okay, alone. But in this case, we specify that the highlighting to be done across the entire data set. Now on the duplicates, highlight the whole of the data set, then go straight away to conditional formatting, go to new rule. On the new rule, we want to add a rule. So in we are going to override on it. I don't want to override, I just want to add. So for us to add, we are going to go to conditional formatting, and here we are going to do what? Manage rules. Okay. In the manage rules, you can say now new rule, and we can add that use formula to determine which cells format. So in this case, I'm going to use column A. Okay, that's where I'm going to check for the uniqueness of the data set. So I'm going to start with equal sign, column A, which is in this case, no, this is we are not using a formula. This we are using format duplicates, duplicate, format only unique or duplicate. So in this case, I'm going to highlight the duplicates. Format all duplicates. Okay, you can specify the format unique, but I want only duplicates. Pay particular attention to the duplicate, and then you specify the format. So the specification of format, I'm not going to go to field. I'm going to go to font. Okay. The font that I want is maybe bold. Can give it bold. And then the color, let me give it a color yellow. Is this going to be visible? I think so. On a white background, I think. Or no background. I hope that's going to be very visible. Then you say okay. I don't know for this one. This is going to be a single cell. You can add that, add this to this, applies to that, duplicates. But this duplicate is based on all the highlighted cells. So in this case, I don't think there's a duplicate. In this case, let's apply. It applies on all the cell, which we don't expect. So let's first of all look at what's happened. Duplicates is that there's the 49.3, and I think there's 49.3 somewhere. It's also here. That's why it's highlighted this as a duplicate. Okay, this is as highlighted this as a duplicate. Yeah, it highlighted all the duplicate. I just want to remove that rule and only highlight this. So what you're noticing here is that when you go to conditional self-formatting, new rule, in the new rule, all this only apply to a single cell. If you want to apply to the whole data set, then you have to use a formula. Okay, all the above here apply to a single cell. So if you highlight all the cells, then each cell is looked. The rule is applied to the cell in which the formatting is done. Okay, so if you highlight that, do the formatting here, then that rule is also applied there, and at the same time the formatting is done there. But if you want to just to apply on one column, the rule on one column and formatting on a different column, then you have to specify which columns you have to do the formatting, and then you do it with use a formula to determine which cells to format. In this case, I was not interested in that, so I'm going to remove that particular rule. I'm going to manage rules. I'm going to remove this rule here. I want to remove it, delete it. Okay. After deleting it, I want to come. Oh, I didn't apply. Manage rules. I didn't apply. Yeah, I didn't apply. Delete this rule. After deleting, then apply. Okay. Then, okay. So if I want to highlight the uniqueness, it's based on this particular column. That's the column that I want to apply the formatting. Then I go to conditional formatting and I go to new rule. In the new rule, I'm going to use a formula. I'm going to use only format unique or duplicate, and then duplicate. Then formatting, I'm going to format, I'm going to make them bold, and I'm going to use this particular color, which is orange. And then say okay. And then I can do the formatting that. So this will highlight the duplicate observations based on that. So as I type here, if I want to add K011, that's K11, add it male, can give it 56, can give it 30, can give it 40. It needed to have calculated. Oh, it's increased that. Let me add the 12th one. Let me say this is K10. You see K10 already exists. So immediately I enter that, it will highlight it. Needed to highlight that. Oh, I didn't apply the rule up to this particular point. I ought to have applied the rule up to that particular point. But still I can go back to the rule and extend that rule. That's what I'm doing. Still I can go to the rule and extend that rule. Go to conditional formatting. Okay, then edit the rule. So that's going to manage the rules. The rule here. The current selection. This sheet. Okay, the rule on this sheet. I need to be inside the cells here. Is for me to go to this manage rules. Okay. I need to edit this one. You can edit it here. You can see for this ones, you can see what you are formatting, what you are applying is constant. A2 to A15. I want to get it maybe up to A20 for me. Up to A20. Okay. And I can apply it. Okay. So as I add this one, K010, immediately I put enter, automatically it is formatted to highlight it for me that this already exists. So this can help you to avoid adding an ID that already exists for you. So you can extend this up to a particular row. which you know your records will reach there. So this will help you to avoid duplicates, especially if you are collecting data using Microsoft Excel. When you key in a record, if you don't want duplicates, already it will highlight for you like the duplicate. So you can say, oh, this is a duplicate. Yeah, especially if you are distributing maybe food or giving in items. Yeah, then you are recording at the same time you record in Excel. Then if you want to know those who are coming for the second time, for one more time, then you can just highlight the whole of the column and format the duplicates. So as you type in, it will go backwards and keep in memory the IDs that you have already recorded. So if the one that you are recording right now is similar to the one that's above, then it will highlight for you in yellow. And that will help you to avoid those duplicates. I hope now you understood that. Ah, 60. Okay. That's how to do condition formatting. Any problem up to this point? Any question? Any question? I want to go to the if function and do some little bit on advanced filters. I hope I'm very slow enough for a 3-year-old to understand.
Sorry, Mwalimu.
Yes.
At this point, you cannot try to put on like a chart, or it is too early to show us.
That's too early. I think a chart we have at advanced stages.
Okay.
Yes. So if you really want a chart, then please don't miss other lessons. Okay.
No problem.
Okay. I want to introduce you to if functions. Okay. And I want to add it a little bit to if, then if inside if, and if inside if, to make it a little bit more complicated, but not actually complicated. I'm just saying to make it more powerful. Yeah. Okay. Let's start with the if. We want an indicator function. Always people calculate indicators. Yeah. Indicators is what tells us whether we are on track or off track. Okay. That's a major purpose of indicators. So apart from using these numbers, someone just know, are we good or bad? Are we performing? Like that, apart from just numbers. So we have the column of mean score. I want to introduce the column of passed or failed. Okay. I want to say passed is either yes or no. Okay. Or you can make use of can call it remarks. Okay. You can have the remark or comment, and it can either be pass or fail. So this is just two. Okay. So I'm going to introduce the if function. If functions is just another function in Excel, which is actually more powerful and always automate tasks. You can't do you can't do away with if function if you really want to automate analysis or cleaning processes in Microsoft Excel. Very, very important. As always, functions normally start with equal sign. Don't forget that. And then we start with if. So Excel is very clever now. If you start to write the name of a function, automatically it will give you a suggestion of what it you might be thinking about. So in this case, you don't have to worry. You can select the one that you want. So this is if. So it tells you that it checks whether condition is met and returns one value if true. and another value if false. That is it. So just double click on it to see how it is being used. It has how many arguments? It has 3 arguments. Arguments are just things which are within the bracket, opening bracket and closing bracket. They're called arguments. So every function must have argument, or some function doesn't have argument. So argument is what Excel manipulates. Okay, so you have to master the arrangement of argument and what each argument represent in functions. So the first argument here is called logical test. Okay, the second argument here is called value if true. The third one is value if false. As simple as that. Excel you can just learn by looking at the suggestion that is being given in there, and you just execute. So the first thing is a logical test. The test, that is the logic that you are testing. The logic that I'm testing here is that instead of writing the columns just by using from your hand direct, you can go, when it is cursor is still blinking here, go to which particular cell that you want to test. Like in this case, that is F2. So instead of writing F2, I just tap on this. Automatically, it will take from that F2 there. Okay, I'm testing this if F2 is less than 50. Okay, that is the logical test. The logical test either turns true or false. Then it tells me to separate it with the next argument by comma. So you have to add a comma to say that we are finished with the logical test, and now we are in value if true. But what's the value if true? Just quote. Always we have to quote strings or text. Text normally is being quoted in Excel. If you have numbers, there's no need to quote. You can just write 50, 10, 20. But if it is a text, then we have to say this is passed. This is less than, if it's less than 50, no, this is a fail. This is a fail. Just write fail. Okay, quote it. And we are done with the value if true. What about the value if false? If it is false, then we also have to quote, we also say pass. Then end of the quote. Even if you have many statements, just put those many statements inside the opening and closing quote. Okay, and then we are done. Value if false, we are done. Then what we need to do is to close the bracket. Normally, the opening bracket must balance with the closing bracket. So just close this bracket and press enter. That will give us for this. And we want to apply the same formula across each of these students down there. So what we need to do, just go on the bottom right corner here. If you see that plus, then double tap or double click. That will do for us for the rest of those particular records. And because we applied this formatting before we inserted this, that's why it can't be applied across. So that's how Excel normally behaves. If we expect our data set to be protruding up to column I or column Q, then we need just to highlight it even if it is still black and apply those rules. Otherwise, it won't apply the rules post execution of those rules. Okay, so this is how it gives us those students. Okay, those who have passed and those who have failed. Any question up to that point? Because I want to complicate it a little bit, or rather, let me not use the word complicate. I want to make it more powerful. To make it more powerful, sometimes it's not like fail or pass. That is like a very huge blank, a very huge category. Want to differentiate people, yeah? Don't just want to say pass or fail. Want to differentiate people into grades. Let's say grade A, grade B, grade C, and E. Okay? So if you want to do that, then we can add the grade here, the grade part of it here. Okay. want to add the grade part over here. So the grade is still going to be using the if. Okay, it's still going to be using the if. And we are going to do what? We are going to go to the logical test, which is we are going to test this one. Okay, we say if this one is less than, okay, let's start with those who score less than 30 as E. Or let's say 40 as E. Less than 40, we say this is E. Okay, then this asks us the value if false. The value if false, because we are testing if less than 40. The value if false is something that is more than 40, and there are so many. Okay, so we put another rule at this to distinguish them as well. So still we go to F2, press on F2, then say less than 50. And then for those who are now less than 50, okay, because already 40 less than 40 is already taken care of. Those who are less than 50, we put grade D. Else, we go again. Oh, we need to add if here. We need to add another if here. To test again. If F2 is less than 50, put D. Else, the value if false. Those are who are more than 50. We again add the if. If, again F2 is less than 60. Then we put grade grade C. Then if false again, we add another if. This one is less than 70. We put grade B. Okay. Else, if we add another if again, the same cell here is less than 80. We put grade. Oh, we have exhausted. Okay, grade E, D, C, B, O. The rest, we don't need even to add those other conditions because what is remaining is just grade A. So for grade A, we just say else grade A. We don't need to test that. Okay. So now, how many if have we added? You have to count those if that we have added. We have the first one less than 40, the second one less than 50, the if on less than 60, the if on less than 70. Those are 4 if. So it means each and every if has opening bracket. So we have to close the 4 brackets. So you have to count 1. As you add, you see it colors the same, whatever it closes. 2, 3, 4, the last one. And then you press enter. Okay. So for 34 is less than 40. That's grade E. Then now, the difficult part was only on the first cell. Because they're all students and we're using standard grading system, we don't need to apply the formula from scratch. All we need is to fill it down. Tapping on that. and that will give us the grading for those students. You see how simple it is. So always, this is how this particular function is being executed. This function you see here is normally executed from left to right. To make things a little bit simple, put it in such a way that the first one is to be executed like that. So never close the, postpone closing those brackets at the end, so that the first to enter is the first to executed, then the second one, then the third one, like that. Okay, that's why you can see my first logical test was less than 40. My second logical test was less than 50. So if less than 50 were to be executed, then we could not have someone with a grade E, because 740, less than 40 is still within less than 50. But in this case, I've made it such a way that I have not closed the bracket at this particular point on less than 40, but I have deferred closing that bracket up to the end, such that the execution start from left to right. Okay, you can also start to execute from 80 and more than 80, yeah, more than 70, more than 60, like that, and you start your grading from A, B, C, D up to E, instead of from E to A. So that's how normally it works. Is that a question?
Yeah, my concern is I don't know if you can help. How you put Walimu, there's somebody making noise. Yeah, you have to put 70 and that is B and A the same. And I don't know if you can explain a bit, because I see.
Okay, I got you. I'm waiting someone to mute, then I can answer you. Yeah, it is live. It is being recorded, so please just mute. Please just mute, please. Okay, this is how I go. This is how I managed to put B and A on the same. Hey, who is that making noise? Rukamba, they're making noise.
I see you talk about all you want. I don't know about any other class. I don't talk about all you want. You see me so finisher.
Please just mute. Yeah. So normally when you are doing if I've exhausted my categories, there's no need to apply another logical test, because I know, obvious, what is now left is for A. For in this case, I don't expect someone to enter marks above 100. But still, because that person will obviously be given A. So you have to make sure that your categories are exhaustive. Okay? Categories are exhaustive. You don't need to leave a gap. So if you have made sure that there's no gap, you will have A, B, C, D, and E. So after giving a rule to categorize those who have E, you have also given a rule to categorize those who have D, as well as those who have C and B. Then whatever that is left, there's no even need to test or to give a rule. Just say whatever that is left after giving all these guys the rules, give it A. And that's why at the last point, at the last point you can see here, you can see what is colored here is value if false. So value if true is this one. So what I'm testing is less than 70. That's the logical test. Then the value if true, if it's less than 70 is B. What about those who are more than 70? Those are the else part of it. That's the value if false. Okay? Those are the value if false category, which I expect it to be 70 and above. Because if it is 60 or 50 or 40 or 10, they will find their rules before they reach this point. And that's why I didn't even test the last one. Otherwise, I could even add another if to say if less than 100, give A. That would still work if you like. Okay? And in that case now it will have the number of brackets will be equal to the number of categories. But in this case, the number of brackets is one less than the number of categories, as you can see. We have how many categories? We have E, A, B, C, D, E. We have 5 categories, but the brackets that are closing them are only 4 because the last one we didn't test. But if you want the number of brackets to be the same as the number of categories, then we can add another if here, okay, at the else part of it. The value if false. At the value if false here, we can have another if here, and then we say, okay, this F2 is greater than now. Because this is less than 70, we don't want to create a gap. So we say that if it is greater than 69, or if it is greater than or equal to 70. Okay, so that 70 is taken as part of A. Then we, comma, value if true is A. Then the value if false, now we can give it that, we can say any other person which we have not graded, we say the person has missed the test. Or we can put an hyphen, we're missing. So in this case, we have now 5 categories. So we have to have 5 closing brackets for each category. That will work. And we can unfill it. I hope now that elaborate that. So in that case, we have even taken those who missed the exam. So if I want to add another student here, that's K13. Then this one now. Okay. I don't know why it says that. Oh, because I've always said that if you are comparing a number, then anything that is missing is blank, is taken as is taken to satisfy the first argument, which is less than 40. That's why you see that is E. So if you want really something to be missing, then we could have placed it at the first argument. We could have started with if that is blank, then put as missing. That could be the first argument, so that we take care of the missing. It's when we start to see 40, 50, 60, 70, compare like that. Okay? I hope that makes you understand this very well. Any question up to that point? Okay. want to proceed further. I want to extract some values here. I want to extract some statistic here. Okay. I want to extract some summary statistic here. So at the end here, I want to have my summary. Okay, I want to have my summary. So in this case, I want to know how many people failed and how many people passed. Take this one, yeah. Because there will be so many. You may not know how many there are, but in subsequent classes, I'm going to induct you in a simple technique to know how many categories you have in a particular column. Because you can't scan and see how many categories there are. If you just find this data comes in for you, you want to know how many categories do you have. It's very difficult. The techniques you can use, okay? The first technique that I want you to learn today is to copy this, to copy the whole of those columns, the whole of that column. After copying it, paste it somewhere, okay? I want to paste it somewhere, and I want to paste it as text, okay, so that we don't link it where we are. So after pasting it, you can see it is like that. Now what you need to do, if you want to know how many unique values do you have, okay, how many unique values do you have, and delete the rest, what you need to do is go and delete, you go and delete the duplicates. It's not that way. You go to data, okay. After go to data, go here, that data tools, press on that, okay. That's what I want. Expand the selection, no, continue with the current selection, remove duplicates. Only 2, okay, on column F, okay, I've highlighted, okay. No, doesn't have. Only 2 observation or rows will be left. So those are the number of categories that we have in that particular data set. Okay. Now I want to know how many failed, how many passed. Okay. I'm going to extend the if function to this. Okay. We start with equal sign. Sum if. Okay. Sum if. At the cells specified by a given condition or criteria. The sum ifs this as a given set of conditions and criteria, if there are so many. But I'm not going to go into that because this is a bonus. I'm going to sum if. So the range, okay, the range where I'm getting the criteria is this range, here. From this range to this range That's the range. Okay, that's the range, which it's a lookup range. Okay, it's normally called a lookup. What I'm looking at is the range I'm looking at. Okay, and then the criteria that I'm looking at is this one. Already is this one. Just tap on it. Okay, so I'm looking at fail in this range of G2 to G15. Okay, then the next argument is sum range, the range that I want to sum. Okay, yes, the range that I want to sum. So in this case, I wanted to sum the total marks. This could sound good if it was count if, but in this case, let me just but still I can introduce no. This only applies if I wanted to sum, maybe I wanted to sum the mean score, or I wanted to sum if you have a data and maybe you wanted to sum for a particular continuous variable for those who satisfy that particular condition, then you could have used that. So let me see if I know it's not making sense in this particular context, but let me take that's the sum range. So it will sum those mean score up to here. And then close the bracket. That's what it will sum. So it sums them as 351 for those who have passed. We can try. Let me see. Those who have passed. That's 108. You can see you can read down here. The average is this, the count is this, the sum is this. So I'm just control and highlighting them. Control at the same time. You have to press control before you highlight. You can see the sum is adding up. So as you can see, is it the sampling, the one that I've added here? There's something that is not. This is 351.33 and this is 354.7. I think it's the number of decimal places. I've counted fail. Instead of I've counted fail here, some the fail, and I've highlighted the pass. So the pass, the sum of the pass was supposed to be 354.7. Let me drag this formula down. It's supposed to give you a 354 point, 67 or 354.7. Okay, so this is the sum, and I want to count the number of the count. So instead of using this, I can just copy this. The count if is still also to count the number of people who failed and pass. Is to count if is still the same. The count if is to count, the range is from this. I want to count from this to this to this. The count if is very simple. And then the criteria is this. The count if is very straightforward. The criteria is failed. And it will give you the number of people who failed. Drag it down. It will give you the number of people who pass. But you have to note this formula whether. You have to know this formula very well. Always, this is up to G15. Okay. Let me see. If you go down here, it is G16. You can see it is G16, which is wrong. Or obviously, I need to put this one up to G16. So always when you drag, it also goes down. So you need just to maintain the row, the stop row. You can maintain the stop row. You can stagnate the stop row, which is 16 rows, row 16. So that even when you drag this formula down here, if I now drag this formula down here, it's not taken as row 17. 16 is still maintained. Okay, so these are those who passed and these are those who failed. That's how to get the basic statistics on that. Any question up to that point? I want to go to filter. How do I do the filter on this particular data set? It's very simple. Okay, just highlight the whole of this table. I want to do some filtering. Let me add the female here because I've reached 16. The person has failed. Oh, this one was not highlighted initially. Let's do the filtering. For the filtering, you have to highlight up to the column. Okay. The basic filtering is this. Go to home and go to this one here, editing. Click down here, then there's a filter here. Okay. What this will do is that this filter will give you each and every column. It will give you a filter for it. So if you only want those who failed, click down here. Okay. And we only have those who failed. I don't want that and that. That will give you only those who failed. And you can see the statistic is 9 out of 18 records. Those who pass, you can do the same as that. That's how filtering works. You can also filter maths, those who score a particular value, number filters, which is greater than, equal to, less than, or top what? You can see top 10. If you can say top 10, or you can say top 3. I only want to filter top 3. Those who score, those are top 3 on maths. Those are the top 3. Okay. On math, though their grade is poor. Because these are the highest guys in maths. There's a shortcut. If you can filter this, and then after filtering, you can just highlight it, Control A to highlight it, everything, and copy it. Then you can go to a different sheet, the short form, and Control V, and then you can go here and say you just paste it by values. Okay, you really have extracted those who have the top 3 in maths. Okay, that's the short form I can give you. Otherwise, I don't want to go into the filter formulas. I know the filter formulas are also there. There's also filter formulas which you can make use of. There's a filter formula which you can make use of, which filter arrange on an array. You have to include an array and include you specify the condition, and if empty, you specify the condition. It will give you the one that's met a particular criteria. So, for example, I can add it here. Let's say I want only females, right? In this, so I will specify here. Sheet 3. Filter this. Okay. Filter, then array is the one that we want to filter. So is someone speaking? Add some sound. Sorry, a bit. Second. Okay. So the first argument here is a filter function. Okay. Then we define the array. So we start by specifying the range of data we want to filter. So this can be a single column or multiple columns or an entire table in this case. So let's work with entire table in this case up to this point. Okay. So that's the first argument, which is the array, which specifies the range of data that we want to filter. Then we set the criteria. The include argument is where, as you can see here, the include argument. So this include argument is where we define the conditions for filtering. This involves comparing values in the array to specific criteria, e.g. a number greater than something, greater than a number, or equal to a particular text or something. So the result of this comparison is an array which is either true and false values. That's the second argument. Then the third argument, after specifying the third argument, you can see it is if empty. Okay. So this is the function that returns an array of filtered data if no data meets the criteria that you have specified. Okay. So that is the array that you now. What do we want to include? We want to include. We want to specify only. We want to extract only this gender. Okay. We want to extract only this gender. So we specify that from this particular column, this particular row to the end of the gender, the last row, which is this. Okay. We say equal to. We want to extract only males, equal to M. Good M. If there is no one find, then we say no male. None, we say none. That is the if. That's the if empty. Then we now can just close this bracket. Let's test what has happened. Filter. Okay, understand. So we needed not to include the header. For this, we needed to start with A2 because this is the value that we are looking at. And we don't look at it there. We start with A2. To that, I think that will work. Yes. So this filters all the female and bring it for us this side. Now we can add. We can just copy paste the what? The column headers. The column headers. Copy paste the column headers. You can mix match this filter, that condition, this condition which I'm talking about. You can mismatch this condition with or statement. You can say is male or females who pass. You can specify that. So you can just say or here. This is the first condition. The second one is the same one. But now we are not testing for this. Or we specify the female who passed this column up to this is equal to pass up to this. Is equal to pass and they are female. So this goes into and is part of this, part of the or, because they are female. For this case, that's female. Give that is equal to that, and this is now complicated. The first one, this one, is equal to F. So this bracket closes the one for ant. Ant is the or, which is combined with the male. So this is supposed to be F. The pass, which is female. And all this must be satisfied. And then we add it to the or part of it, which is here. Then we turn all this array. Otherwise, we turn none. Let me test. I think there's a bracket that I need to have. There's a part which is good M and G2, G16. To pass G2, G16. Don't know why it's refusing. Okay, if you find it very complicated, what you can do, just create that formula here. Just have a column which contain male, pass, female, pass, and that. And then get to that, only that column, and you are done. So there's, in Excel, there are so many ways of killing a rat. So we can call it, this is interest. Okay? The column of interest. Column of interest. We can have the male, this one. Then put hyphen male, then and simply means we are joining them. Okay? With that. That's male fail. So what we needed, you see how simple it is now. After joining like that, we have male fail. So we want male fail and we want all male. Okay? All male. Okay? And female pass. F pass. So the one that starts with M or F pass. And that's it. That will give us all those guys. So that is a that. So I wanted this or to the second or is that this is equal to M fail or M pass or F pass, female pass. Those are the only three things. Male fail, male pass, or female pass. Yes, but now we are referring to which column? I don't know which column we're referring to. It will not put that because which column are you referring to? Now we are referring to column I instead of column B. filter that or mm, mm. In subsequent factors, we are not going to use these particular formulas. I'm going to shorten them a little bit using the filters that we find on the main and the pivot tables to calculate the sums and the statistics. Sure, what is happening? Sure, what's happening? But you got the concept, yeah. Yeah, any question? We needed to add, or is addition? We needed to add. Any question? We need to add actually, not just use the or. If we are using and, we need to multiply. Sheet 3 plus is equal to this plus. We need to just add is equal to that, is equal to m plus is equal to that. Somewhere it's just so, and I think this will bring us to our day one. For all we need to add, for and we needed to multiply to use the star. That's what we needed to do. For all we needed to sum up these components. So this will output all the males plus the female who passed. I think we are done with day one. I'm preserving this for another day, the Gantt chart. Okay. I'll be depositing this file in the Google Drive folder. So I'll be sharing with you that link. Yeah.